Good evening, welcome to tonight's Hearthstone Half Hour. I'm Hammy, this is FailCraft Casts. Hope you are well and good. It's Wednesday, 16th, we're about halfway through July. A couple of weeks to go. If you guys are shooting for your legend, keep on cracking away towards that for your next Rammus card back. And with another week going in July, it is even less time. There's probably a couple of weeks left. Blizzard hoping that Curse of Next Rammus, the Hearthstone Adventure Mode, the first of its kind, going to a release in July, so let us leave them the time to do what they do. Hopefully it'll be coming soon. But tonight, it's not about Curse of Next Rammus, it is about Pick Your Own Arena. We were out yesterday, so Pick Your Own Arena is normally on Tuesday. We're back Wednesday night, and instead of Ladder Wednesday tonight, we will shift everything along one day. So today we are picking our own arena. Now you guys voted on Twitter earlier and yesterday, and you picked Shaman. So let us jump on in. You know the drill. If you are new, joining us on YouTube or on Twitch, we hopefully actually go into arena rather than my collection. But you guys vote for the hero that you want, and you voted for Thrall. For Doomhammer, you voted for Thrall. And then we go through, we pick a deck, you guys vote in the chat and pick the deck for us, and then we run it out in the wild. Are you feeling nice? Are you feeling nasty? We shall decide. So, first up we have the Secret Keeper, the Cold Light Seer, and the Mana Tide Doodum. So while people in the chat and similar deliberate what they would like, Secret Keeper, whenever a secret is played game 1-1, we have no secrets. We're a Shaman. Is that use? Don't know. 1 attack, 2 health, it might live, trade against some things. The Cold Light Seer, battle cry of giving all other Murlocs 2 health, well that's just splendid if you're running a Murloc deck. If you are not running a Murloc deck, not quite so useful, but 2 attack, 3 health, still pretty handy. And last but not least, the Mana Tide Totem, the end of your turn drawing a card, a Shaman staple. The vote is with Mana Tide in the chat, so Mana Tide we shall go for. Voodoo Doctor, the Wind Speaker, and the Novice Engineer. So what we do while people in the chat are deliberating over those cards, I will explain them in a second. What we generally tend to do in this is everyone in the chat picks the cards, but we then review the deck at sort of 10 cards in, maybe sort of 17, 18 cards in, and about 25 cards in. And we do that for 3 reasons as sort of an arena picking staple. 1, we want to see what our mana curve's like. 2, when we have a look at our mana curve, it gives us a bit of an idea as to whether we're an early game, mid game, or late game deck. We then take a look at minions and spells. What kind of balance we have? Do we have loads of spells, not many minions? What kind of minions do we have? And try and get some idea of from the minions and spells of a theme. What theme are we going for? Are we going for an early game rush with small minions? Are we controlling the game with spells and then perhaps getting into the late game? You generally always in the early stage of an arena, as Voodoo Doctor is voted for, we will grab it and keep going. Next, and Soren joins, and again another vote for the Voodoo Doctor. Everyone is of an accord, because that whatever direction you're going in, you're all going in together, which is fabulous. So first up, we check the deck at regular intervals. We check it for mana curve, we check it for minions and spells, and we check all of those things together to sort of see what theme our deck is, where it's going, and then, given that we're checking on a regular basis, it then lets us continue picking cards with that theme in mind. So you cannot say at the beginning of the game, I'm going to draft a rush deck, because you may just not get those cards. You might get all rush deck cards for the first 10 cards and then nothing for the rest of the deck. So checking your deck and what you draw at regular points will let you tweak your deck and make sure that even if you don't get the theme that you think you are going to get, at least you're going to have a deck that's pretty viable in arena. So we have a vote for the DC, we have a vote for the Leponome, and we have 2 votes for the Leponome. So Dread Corsair, an interesting choice. And a Leponome comes the final vote in. Next we have the Rockbiter Weapon, the Iron. I do just realise I didn't summarise those cards, I do apologise. The Rockbiter Weapon, giving a friendly character 3 attack for 1 turn only. It can be a Shaman hero, it can be one of your minions. There's some nasty combos in Constructed if you make your own deck with Rockbiter and minions that give Wind Fury. And Rockbiter generally pretty nasty. Ironfur Grizzly, he is basically just a 3/3/3 tank. We always describe him as just being solid. He does his job, he gets in there. He's going to probably kill a minion or something similar. But he will certainly slow your opponent down a turn. And then the down round mage, what he lacks in attack, he makes up for in spell damage if you're throwing around a lot of spells. So we have RWs, 2 RWs to 1 to keep things moving. The RW has been picked. And the next we have the Dark Scale Healer, we have Hex and the Unbound Elemental. Not the easiest choice there. So the Dark Scale Healer, throw it down on turn 5 or later and it will just heal everything for couple on your side of the board. Attack, health, not too bad, so even when you're throwing it down for the battle cry, but it will do something useful, whether that's weaken a minion, trade a smaller minion, hit your opponent in the face maybe once. Hex, a shaman's form of crowd control in constructed, e.g. if you're making a deck for ladder or casual or similar, generally invaluable, no less valuable potentially in Arena 2. And then last but not least, the Unbound Elementals. So Shamans have Overload as a mechanic. If you play a card with Overload, whatever number the Overload has next to it, you get that much less mana next turn. So the Unbound Elemental can be very, very nasty. Hex, 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 Hex. Everyone's voted for Hex. Maybe Unbound Elemental will make it in future. Next, we have the Lightning Bolt, the Stormforged Axe, and the Booty Bay Bodyguard. 2 Shaman cards, 1 neutral minion. Lightning Bolt is 3 damage for 1 overload, so as we discussed, 1 overload means next turn you have 1 less mana crystal to play with. But that for 1 mana is an exceptionally mana efficient spell that can be used to weaken minions, kill minions. If you have spell damage on the table, that can get big and nasty, so it can do some nice things. Stormforged Axe, again it's an overload card, but that 3 durability means that if you get one of these down in the Bolt, rubbish film, decent card. I actually quite like Bolt. If I could, whenever I eventually go on webcam, I actually have a Rhino plushie that came with the Bolt DVD. That's another story. The Stormforged Axe is excellent for either doing some additional damage to, you can pick off minions with it, you can hit them in the face with it, and the 3 durability means it just sticks around for a long time unless it gets removed. And finally, the Booty Bay Bodyguard. He is a very, very strong, solid turn 5 tank. Slightly less health than usual, but the 5 attack is good. So if you just want to wall things up, then it's all good. So we've got Bolts. Then my vote goes to BBB. Okay, well, everyone's gone for a Bolt. Bolt it is. And next up we have the Iron Fur Grizzly, the Totemic Might. Oh my goodness, I've not seen that in a while. On the Skillwind Yeti. The Grizzly we have described, so we shall not go Chewing Yeti. It's a flying Yeti. Craig typos galore. So Iron Fur Grizzly we've described. The Totemic Might, giving your totems 2 health for 0 mana. Hey, if I'm swarming with totems, that could be quite nasty. Do not underestimate the irritants that totems could actually give you. And last but not least, the Chewing Yeti. There's just nothing really bad about this card. Totemic Tight. For those of you wondering, I type in the chat. I type these in the chat so people in the chat can join in. And particularly if people, there are a couple of people who listen to this who are deaf, or who tune in who are deaf. So it's good to type a bit and get those people involved as well. So people are thinking about, oh, Yeti. So yeah, my typing of the various different choices, even though they can see them on the screen. I've got Totemic Tight that I accidentally typed, and the Chillwing Yeti. So I've given Yeti's ability to fly. Everyone has gone for the Yeti, so let us grab the Yeti and keep it coming. Next we have the Stormpike Commando, the Frostwolf Grunt, the Tauren Warrior. Okay, there are no Shamans here. Stormwind Pike Commando, beg my pardon. Throw him down for 5 attack, for 5 mana. He has low health, but then he's got that Battlecry of 2 damage that can soften things up. He's then a body that's got to be got rid of. He can generally be picked off with some form of light control, and by that I mean like a cheap spell or something similar, or a cheap minion. But that 2 Battlecry damage can pick off other minions, soften up minions for kills and things. Frostwolf Grunt, 2/2. He is like an Iron Fur Grizzly, just 1 level down. Nothing else to say about him. A decent tank. And the Tauren Warrior. I always find this card interesting because if you enrage him, he suddenly becomes 5/2 with a taunt. But then he will get picked off either way. So, what do we fancy out of those, guys? I'm not entirely sure what that accent was all about. Leaning TW, Tauren maybe, Stormpike. You have the power to make a choice. I know they're not maybe the greatest choices, but you with your choices shall make them great. You have the power. You have the Dr. Phil power. Okay, well, I think it's 2 votes for Tauren, so to keep us rocking and rolling, I'm going to go for Tauren. Next, Hexed, Boulder Fist, Ogre, and the Razor Fen Hunter. I don't know what I've typed those up. Razor Gen. Raison Gen. Brilliant. Raison Gen sounds like something out of a, I don't know, pick an evil corporation in any Arnold Schwarzenegger 80s action film. Raison Gen. Hex is Hex. We've gone through that. Boulder Fist Ogre for 6 mana, a nice solid late game drop. You are going to be doing some damage with him. Razorfen Hunter, he's a twofer. Twofer. 2 for 1. You get an additional ball with that Battle Cry and swimming. Oh, people are going for Ogre. Ogre it is. Everyone has gone for it. Oh, next. Ooh. I like running 3 hexes if possible. Because music, you're a person of taste and also slightly evil. 3 hexes is evil. So I hope that the shinies have come up. Yep, the chat has come up. The chat has caught up with the stream. So we have the Black Knight. We've got Illidan Stormrage and Captain Greenskin. Right, while the chat debate over the various merits of these 3, I'm just going to do a quick deck review because we're right about 10 cards. So look at our mana curve. Point 1 we said when reviewing our arena decks, or indeed if you're playing arena. We've got quite a lot in the early game. Just the 1 card in the late game. So after 10 cards it's really too early to know how this deck is going to go, but we can then look at our minions and see how that goes. So is this an early game rush deck? Even though we've got early game cards there, we can't really tell until we have a look at the cards. So next up, let's have a look at mana, and we've looked at mana curve. We can then have a look at spell and weapon balance. What have we got? Well, in the early game, we've certainly got control, lightning bolt and rockbite can help us pick off minions, the leper gnome and the voodoo doctor on turn 1. Not only can we heal, but we can also generally put some good pressure on in the early game or try and control minions. Hex will give us control at any point in the game. The Mana Tide will help us draw cards if we have tanks up, and then we have the Tauren Warrior, Chillin Yeti and Boulder Fist Ogre. So we've got some fairly solid mid-ish game minions there. So we're not a rush, we're not a late game deck, but we've got a fairly solid core there from which we can probably build in a different few ways. We have 2 for Black Knight, 1 for Stormrage. Any more for any more when it comes to the old voting. Golden Doomhammer. Lucky you. Very nice. Okay, well we have a couple of Black Knights. You guys would like to destroy the tanking taunts. Illidan could become... I like Stormrage with our low-cost minions. Ooh, debate. Ski music, thinking. At the moment, you have... at the moment, it is with the Black Knight. Who knows? 5-6. It's going to be the Black Knight. Who knows? Maybe we'll get another legendary. I did have a 2 legendary deck in Arena. Those were splendid times. Despite of interesting arguments there, I can see I can see the argument for Illidan. He would be a very interesting choice because we can throw a lot of cards down. Countdown Jeopardy music. TVK it is. In we go. Next we have the Dark Iron Dwarf. We have Wind Fury. We have Frost Shock. Right, Dark Iron Dwarf did. Seen in so many aggro decks. For 4/4/4, he will hit the table and do something before he dies. And then the Battle Cry, giving a minion 2 extra attack this turn, means that he can buff another minion, and that minion can trade up. It can do something more than what its mana cost actually is. So it will be stronger than it actually should be. That is the deal. Wind Fury, giving a minion Wind Fury. Do remember that for those of you who do not know Wind Fury's effect, it means that you can attack twice in 1 turn, but only after you've had Summoning Sickness. So after you've played your minion on the table, unless it has charge, it will sit there for a turn, then you can attack twice if you play Wind Fury on it. And Frost Shock, doing 1 damage to an enemy and freezing it, useful. Dark Iron Dwarf gets the votes. Next, the South Sea Deckhand, the Stone Tusk War, and the Spellbreaker come up for us next. South Sea Deckhand charges when we have a weapon equipped. At the moment we have no weapons. Rockbiter is not a weapon, it just gives you 3 attack. Notice that. It is giving you a hero attacks, it means it can attack but it is not a weapon. Stone Tusk Boar, charge 1/1/1. It's a trading token. You'll throw it down and it will do something and then die. And Spellbreaker lets you silence. The votes go with Spellbreaker. And next, let's have a Gnomish Inventor. We have a Wind Fury and a Silverback Gorilla in the Concrete Jungle. As Jurassic 5 would say, it is the Silverback Patriarch. Right, Gnomish Inventor, you draw a card and then you've got a body on the table for 2 attack and 4 health. That will maybe kill something, trade something before it dies, but it's really an expensive card draw with a minion that will kick around a little bit. Wind Fury again, it was rejected last time. Will the noble and decision-making people in the chat stream go for it this time? We will find out. And then the Silverback Patriarch, which is really just a more expensive Wind Fury combo with Dark Dwarf buff, a Wind Fury Cesano. It looks as though that people, having cruelly spurned Wind Fury, are coming back to it and its charms this time around. Xycnose. Wind Fury it is. And the next, we have an Ogre Magi, we have a Silver Hand Knight, and an Argent Squire. Right, the Magi, he's a 4/4/4, and then you have that little spell damage as well. At the moment, we only have one spell that does damage, so spell damage is not really a priority for you at this moment, but we shall look at 20 cards and review that. The Silverhand Knight is another 2-for, 30 rock style, 2/4/1. You get a 2/2 Squire when you play this card. He gives you board presence, he gives you table control, he gives you all kinds of good things. And then the Argent Squire, we can throw them down turn 1, and they are going to bubble, and they will probably 2/4 before they die, and the Silverhand Knight is picked. Next we have a Mana Addict, we have the Sunwalker, and we have the Mind Control Technologist. 3 powers. Ooh, Squire! Kiski comes in late with the Squire. The Mana Addict, whenever you cast a spell, gain 2 attack this turn. We do not have many spells at all. In fact, we've got 3 out of our 14 cards so far. Can be useful, but better in big spell decks. Sunwalker, just a really solid turn 6 tank. The Taunt and Divine Shield mean that he is awkward to get rid of. Perhaps she, I can't tell in that armour. Sunwalker is just too good, and the Mind Control Tech does not even get a look in. Mana Addict, the Twilight Drake, and the Emperor Cobra. Cobra we'll go to because we've already covered the Mana Addict. Damage any minion destroyed by this minion. So if you can keep that alive in one go, then it will start. It can trash a 10, an 8/8 giant, or a ridiculously buff card of any description. The Twilight Drake gains health for each card in your hand. Normally beloved of Handlock Warlock decks, because Rajanog, welcome. Rajanog comes in with a decisive intervention. It says Twilight. I want the Drake and the Cobra. Cobra. This is true. The Twilight Drake is strong when you have lots of cards in your hand. There's been quite a vote for the Cobra. Interesting. I'm going to have to try and play that correct for you guys. Next, the Gurubashi Berserker, the Mogushan Warden, and the Young Dragon Hawk. If you are a new player and you've just finished playing with your mage deck in the tutorial, you should absolutely whack out a couple of those Gurubashi Berserkers as a basic card. Whenever the minion takes damage, it gains 3 attack. You can use your mage power to damage your own Gurubashi Berserker and make a horrible, horrible card. The Mogushan Warden is just a nice tank. He can get removed by a couple of things, but at 7 health probably is going to keep him around for quite some time. And then the Young Dragonhawk is a Wind Fury token. Madness! You'll throw him down, and then if it lives, then it may be able to hit twice, but if it doesn't live, it is just Dune. Ooh, votes for the Berserker too. We have a vote for the Berserker so far. Is anyone else out there? I can see a couple of other people out there who are not signed into Twitch. Taunt is also okay. You have the power to make a choice. You guys so far have gone for Berserker. Berserker it is. Next, the Mana Wraith, the Murloc Tide Caller, and Ancestral Trail. An epic story of myth, magic, and monsters. So, Mana Wraith, all minions costing 1 more. A bit awkward, does some stuff. Murloc Tide Caller, whenever a Murloc is 7 game 1 attack. The Murloc's very presence has caused to be quoted. Excellent stuff. And then last but not least, Ancestral Spirit. Choose a minion. When that minion is destroyed, return it to the battlefield. That is just damn awkward. And as we saw, forgive my damning, but as we saw with our Ancestral Shaman deck. No, but seriously, Spirit. Everyone comes for the Spirits. Next, we have Mana Wraith. They're trying to tell us something. We've got an Abomination and a Questing Adventurer. Okay, we've covered the Mana Wraith. Can throw it down, it will cause some troubles against rush and things, making all minions more expensive. Abomination is a nice tank, but of course that Death Rattle means he does 2 damage to all no Mana Wraiths. Deals 2 damage to all characters. I used to use Abomination in one of my decks to combat Hunter Swarms and all of that kind of stuff in the past. That was fun. So Abomination not bad against aggro because he'll just do a lot of stallings. And then last, the Questing Adventurer. Now this card, whenever I don't pick it, it generally tends to haunt me in an arena run at some point. There's always someone who plays it and just plays loads of cards. But yeah, whenever you gain, everyone seems to have gone for a bomb. Whenever you play a card, you gain 1/1. Questing will only be good late game to us. The wisdom of the chat prevails, and a bomb has been picked. Next we have the Arcane Golem. We've got the Wild Pyromancer, and then the Crazed Alchemist. Crazed Alchemist, the star in a reasonably priced car of our Fun Friday that we did, where you guys set me the challenge of making crazy alchemist science decks. So let's go through it. Golem, you charge in, you give your opponent a mana crystal, so you accelerate them. And Wild Pyromancer lets you deal with rush. But the third option, Golem, science, go Golem. And the last but not least, the Alchemist. The Pyromancer lets you deal with rush by when you throw spells, it does additional damage, so that will really shoot down anything with low health at the cost of your own minions, perhaps, unless you can keep your Pyromancer on high health. Crazed Alchemist swaps the attack and health of a minion. We have a vote for. We have votes for Alchemist and votes for Golem, so we need a decider. We need a decider. Otherwise, I will. Ragenorg, decisive intervention. And it comes into science. So science has been picked. Next, the Unbound Elemental. Crew has science. Cult Master. And Bloodlust. Ooh, interesting options. We've covered the Elemental. Do we have many cards with Overload? We only have 1 card with Overload, I think. So because we've only got 1 overloading card, we're not going to be able to buff up that Unbound Elemental too much. However, it is quite a nice card. Cult Master, whenever your minions dies, draw a card. If we keep that alive for a while, it will help us draw. And then Bloodlust. Bloodlust will be a finisher. Bloodlust, minions through attack. That is a kill combo for Shaman decks. If you have a lot of minions on the table and Bloodlust, that would be awesome. Unbound and Bloodlust, I can only pick 1. So, Chaos reigns. What are you going to choose? Bloodlust. Looks like 2 Bloodlusts. Bloodlust. Love it. There we go. There's no messing around. Lava Burst, Knife Juggler, and the Injured Blade Master. Lava Burst dealing 5 damage gives us some overload. That is bursty. Dangerous. We can hurt people with that. We can pick off minions. Generally, we want to Lava Burst them into the face. Maximum effect. Injured Blade Master. How painful. The Knife Juggler, we do have quite a few early game minions, and as we're at 21, we'll review after this. Juggle the knives. So basically, if you throw down Knife Juggler and then we throw loads of minions afterwards, we get that chip damage. That 1 damage to random enemies. Could be key in many situations. Finally, the Blade Master. Jugs. Juggler is the options. So next, Dust Devil. Dust Devil's quite an interesting card. You overload 2 for a card that, if it can't be killed, suddenly starts hitting away for loads of damage. And then the Ancient Brewmaster, and then the Iron Fur Grizzly. So we covered the Grizzly. Dust Devil is a Shaman only minion with a Wind Fury, but then you overload 2, so you can throw this down turn 1, but then if they don't kill it turn 1, then suddenly it's doing 6 damage on turn 2 because of its Wind Fury. The Brewmaster we can use to pick stuff up and then throw it back on the table again. So what do we have that's good? Well, the Sunwalker, that could be quite good. Throw down 2 tanks if we have enough mana. Silverhand Knight we could pick up and then throw down to get more summons. Maybe Abomination. Basically any card that you really is good with a sort of a battle cry or similar effect. Or is worth saving, pardon me, to do some stuff with, then it can work very well. Okay, we have votes for the Brewmaster. The Brewmaster is down. And next, what will we bounce though? Oh, I've gone too quickly. Sorry, Drunken Master. Stone Tusk Boar. Senjin Shield Master. Storm Wind Champion. A very good point made there by KSKI as to what we're actually going to bounce for the Brewmaster. There's nothing obvious. There's lots of things we could bounce in various ways, but they'd really be sort of more emergency plays, I think. If we were in a really dominant position, we could bounce things like a knight. You can perhaps bounce things like, I don't know, it's really saving things rather than bouncing anything for a massive positive effect. The Black Knight could be an option if he wasn't 5. No, he's 4. That's okay. Everyone's for Tazdingo. Right. Stone Dust Board charges, Storm and Champion bust and late game. Everyone has gone for Tazdingo. Yes. And in Tazdingo we have a nice tank who can not only combine with our Ancestral Spirit and get resurrected for the greater good, but we have just a really solid tank that we can drop anyway. So nothing wrong with this engine. Makes his way into many constructed decks, and here's a basic card for you new players. Really, really strong. Okie dokies. We now have Forked Lightning, 2 damage to 2 random minions. That will let us help start controlling the table if we need. Reckless Rocketeer charges in for 5 damage and then probably dies next go with that 2 health. And then the Flame Tongue Totem will buff everything else. Oh, everyone has gone for the totem. So we get the totem, but there's a very good argument from KSKI for the Forked. Are we lucky in early game control? At the moment we're going to be doing a lot with minions to try and control. So next we have Frost Elemental, Boulder Fist, Ogre and Earthshock. Now we're at 25 out of 30. We've not reviewed, so I'm going to do a quick deck review or folks in the chat pick what we're going to be up to. So what do we have? We have, we've got a fairly, I'd call this tempo because really we've just got something everywhere. We're just going to be playing cards continuously throughout the game. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing. We're not a rush deck, we're not a late game control deck. Let's say we're trying to tempo. We're trying to keep momentum with us all the way throughout the game, make good trades and come out on top in the mid to late game. So then let's look at minions and spells. Well, how many spells do we have? I can see Lightning Bolt, Rock Biter. I can also see Wind Fury. I see Ancestral Spirit. I can then see Hex. I can see Bloodlust. Okay, we've got about 6 spells, 19 minions. How does this play out in terms of a thing? Lightning Bolt, in the early game we've got control, we can Lightning Bolt, Rock Biter, Leponome, Voodoo Doctor, we'll ignore Ancestral Spirit, that will help us keep one of our tanks alive. Wind Fury can help us in the late game. Crazed Alchemist can help us science, although we don't really have much to science with it, but just because. Flame Tongue will help us keep all of our minions attacking and strong. The Knife Juggle will help us do chip damage with our totems. And Hex controls. Cobra can come out in the late game to kill big minions if we keep it alive. The Monotite Totem will help us draw cards. We do have Warriors, Tauren Warrior, Sinjin Shieldmaster, they'll help us tank and hold in the mid game. Brewmaster can help us cycle. The Yeti can just attack things because it's a Yeti. Logic. Iron Dwarf can help us buff smaller minions. Spellbreaker to silence. Bloodlust is probably a finisher. Another tank in the Abomination, and then Gurabashi Berserker, Silverhand Knight, Boulder Fist Ogre, Sunwalker, and the Black Knight. We just have a ridiculously strong mid game. Okay, so I can really see no particular trend here bar try and trade in the early game and get control of the table. If we get control of the table in the early game, and in the mid game we can cement that advantage with tanks into the mid-late game, where we can throw down a lot of nasty minions to try and end the game before too late. We just want to win as soon as we can. I think we just try and control and keep enemy minions and table under control and then swarm in the mid to late game. That is our plan. Hey, time no see. Welcome Tim. Okay, next Frost Elemental, Boulder Fist. Everyone has gone for silence. I like me that Earthshock. Earthshock is popular lately, so fashionable. I like all the latest trends. Got to look your best in the arena. So people think that Earthshock is kind of trendy, and I would agree with them. Earthshock is the must thing to be seen in this season, not only with the fashionable silence, but also the 1 damage accessory on top, wowing the catwalks of Milan, Paris and London. So the thing to be seen in. If you're not concerned about the fashion, then Earthshock is actually very, very useful as well. Silencing a minion and doing 1 damage can just take out all kinds of nasty things. So next we have Strangle, Thorn, Tiger, Rock Biter Weapon, and Unbound Elemental. Okay, we have rejected elementals. We do not have loads of overloads still, but the elemental is still strong. The rock biter gives us more early game control. We've got one of those already. 2's not bad. And then last but not least, we have the tiger, who we can throw down, and he can then stealth, and then he can suddenly spring back in next turn and do 5 to something. Rock biter, yep. There's lots of... Oh, rock biter is voted. Next we have a dust devil, the Oasis Snapjaw, and the youthful brewmaster. So not only do we have the experienced drunkard, the ancient brewmaster, we also have the youthful brewmaster as well. 2 different flavours of panda for your consumption. So youthful brewmaster, like the ancient that we're highlighting, but just lower stats, lower health, all kinds of things. Oasis Snapjaw, 2 attack and 7 health. That gives us room for science. If we can, there's nothing we can use to make it a tank, but you can Crazed Alchemist it. That would pretty much be it's good against aggro. It can knock off a few aggro minions off the table. And then the Dust Devil, which we have already seen, which will overload us, but then we can worry people with its 1 health. It will probably just get knocked straight away. You must decide. Teetotal, not fans of the Brewmasters. Okie dokie. We have only had the 1 vote for the Snapjaw. Dust Devil, Oasis Snapjaw, Brewmaster. Come on folks, we're almost there. Try and get a couple of games in. Is it going to be anything? Well, Bittersweet Symphony with Oasis. Such a tune. Do 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 do. Frost Shock, Hex, and Lightning Bolts. Could use Dust with a Rock Tier combo. That is certainly true. Him Gallagher Snapjaw. The Dust Devil, if that stayed alive for a turn and we threw down a Rock Biter on it, then suddenly it could do 12 damage. Ridiculously mana efficient for 2 mana. But we have generally rejected them. Hex! There's a Hex, Frost Shock we've covered. We've covered all 3 of these cards. Come on, folks. There's all pretty good picks all around. To accelerate the progress, I'm going to go with Hex. And then, last but not least, we have the Sunwalker, the Secret Keeper, and the Mana Wraith. Sunwalker, we've covered all of these cards also. We have 1 Mana Wraith. Sorry, we have 1 Sunwalker already. We don't have either of the others. The Sunwalker is just a little bit ridiculous. I'm thinking that we might as well be walking on the sun. We have 1 person quoting Smash Mouth and 1 person quoting Walking on Sunshine, but either way we're all good. Okay, let's go! So, let us just take a look at our deck. Right, I guess this may not be tempo, but hey, we've got stuff we can throw down on every turn. In the early game, we're not late game. All of our minions and spells end at 6, so we want to take this game by the scruff of the neck in the mid game, at the early mid game and the mid game. You know, anything from 3 to 6 mana, we really want to solidify our grip on the table, and then in the late game we want to be swinging in with all kinds of nasty things. We've got lots of early game minions. Along with the Knife Juggler, we can combo quite effectively to not only pick off enemy minions, but also perhaps do some damage to the enemy hero. We want to end the early game with table control. When we get into the mid game, we've got lots of big backup. We've got tanks, taunts, we have some very, very high health minions, and we've also got silencers and some situationals against aggro, against silence, against tanks. We can work our way through any mid game opposition table. Then in the late game, we're probably using things like, I would say, the Boulder Fist Ogre and the Sunwalker to be smashing for wins. So I'm going to call this tempo, even though it's not quite tempo, but it's tempo or something. It's certainly a deck. Our goal is to play cards every single turn. I'm going to be back in just a second. Sorry about this.
Thrall versus Garrosh.
Victory or death for Doomhammer.
Back, sorry, someone at the door. We need more early game cards, so we're going to mulligan, and we are going to... there we go. We tried to mulligan for earlier game cards, and those early game cards did not show up. Our strategy is we're going to play cards and then use those cards in a dueling fashion against a formidable opponent. Absolutely. We are playing a warrior, so turn 1. We have not many options while playing our gnome. Our gnome will do the job. Ooh, cheeky look, and the coin comes out. So remember, we want to get control. Our warrior is quite sensibly coining in, and he will take, of course, the full 4 damage. That's 2 for attacking, plus the 2 in the gnome, and just gets destroyed. We cannot science. We cannot give away the health of the scientist so easily. So we're just going to totem, as we can do, and keep healed. Now our warrior will probably keep swinging. He's got nothing else to play. He'll probably just remove the totem to be tidy. You can see at the moment we are struggling a little bit with early game options. No, he's not gone for the totem just yet. I'm not going to be sciencing that totem. So let's just totem up a bit further. Heal, heal, heal. Earthshock is ready and waiting for any nasty minions he might drop. And there are... Science the totem. It would die. It would have no health and it would die. We are not going to science the totem. As tempting as it would be. The crazed alchemist science must stay in our hand for now. We've got the Oasis Snapjaw. We've got options. Okay. Our warrior decides to go for the spell damage totem. And he doesn't have early game drops as well. But remember, of course, well, the more armour he puts on, the more tears that come into our eye. Alrighty then, well, Wind Furying is not going to do me too much at this point in time. So, frustratingly, I'm just throwing down totems. We are lacking draw power in other plays. If only we had our Mana Tide or something similar. He will never see it coming. Yes, they will never see us killing one of our own minions coming. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. It has very much been a Monty Python week. Okie dokie, next, oh, we've got a minion we can play. I'm so excited. I just cannot hide it. But yet the battle cry of restoring 2 health will be wasted. Let's totem again. Let's play the totem game. You know what? I could have saved this another turn and kept that health effect for actually restoring some health. That would have been a better play, but I'm just going to put it down on the table to make him ponder. I could actually Bloodlust next go. How hilarious would that be? Yeah, he does have a lot of armor. This is not good for us. He's in a rage to remove one of my minions. How fair. I'm hoping that a tank is going to turn up. Okie dokie, well, I can certainly hex this next water game. Wow, it's not the highest impact game, would I say. It's certainly not had the most going on in terms of rapid action. Oh, I'm not going to Bloodlust. What are we going to do? I'm not going to Rock Biter. I can't remove this. I need to save my hex. He's untargetable. There's nothing to science. What damage? Raw. I am Searing Totem. Hear me roar. There we go. So we can now hex and remove that, unless he throws down something even more dangerous. In which case we'll just have to consider a good play there, because he removes the 1 minion I could buff to do some other bits with. There goes down an Armor Smith, and suddenly the threats are getting dropped. These a little, for the time being, they could become nasty. But, oh, I just want to... Ooh, friendly minion from the battlefield to my hand. Well, there's no real benefit in that, unless I just throw it down as a body. Earthshock will let me remove something. Well, firstly I'm going to hex. Let's go for the control play. I'm then going to... Just get a bit of control going. Ah, that was a stupid play. I should have hexed it afterwards. FailCraft failure there. I meant to be removing the armor smith. So I should have not hexed. And because hexed of course gives taunt, so I should have not hexed. I should have done my play to remove the armor smith and then hexed afterwards. Most probably. Oh, it's getting all... So we have a combination of Aerosmith and Shakespeare. Oh, the Booty Bag Bodyguard goes down, and the Fairy Dragon, like Nightwing. Brightwing, sorry. And the removal... Well, this Control Warrior is controlling us so far. It's not looking too fun. Ah! Making the play! There's the Black Knights. Boof! There he goes. Straight out removal. Liking that. Anything we can actually remove from the table? No. Can't be Wind Furying. Ancestral Spirit I prefer on a tank just to get really annoying with. So I'm going to keep that going. Oh, we've got a tank up, that's good. Well, we can try and remove something else. Do I want to chip something down? Wind Fury Healing Totem, totally overpowered. Oh, and the Lord of the Arena is going down. The tanks are all over the place. And he's just going to rush me to the face. Knowing full well that I must catch up. Luckily, we have another Hex. The Silverhand Knight will certainly help me turn the tide, but what I really want to do is remove him. So, Ancestral Spiriting could be quite annoying. Bloodlust plays is an intriguing option. It'll certainly let me remove some stuff, but I want to have enough minions on the table to make that Bloodlust a worthy play. So, how's the best way to go about this? I need to remove the tank. This is true. Yeah. I think I'm going to go for the Silverhand Knight to set up for next turn. I can remove this with in-table damage. That's not ideal. Science is not going to benefit us here. Huh. This could be an annoying play. Hey, how about this? Let's try this one. Let's give this one a go. I'm going to try and get the Silverhand Knight down again next turn for an additional 2-2 squire. He's going to rush me to the face, but let's not forget he's on 9 mana. So really the tempo is total with him, and he might have some big stuff. Silencing the Black Knight. Yeah, that could have been an option. Let's have a look. Go have a look back and see my Black Knight sacrifice. Yeah, that would have been 5-4. Ooh, Ravenheart Assassin. I cannot remove that, and then it's going to fly into game and do some damage. It looks as though we may be down. We may be down, team. Unless we can work out some mega plays. Bloodlust. We don't need to Bloodlust. Let's see, bouncing didn't really help because we needed the extra minion on the table. We cannot remove the Ravenholt. We can remove most of the other things. If I Bloodlust, it's not going to let me destroy anything. I know. I know. Humour me. 5 mana for a 2-2. Indeed. Extra minions on the table would have been the right play. Dwarf combo. Yep, it's a good call. That will let us remove one more minion off the table. We can take most of these. Okay, Ancestral Spirit, and dying and returning something to the battlefield. Is that going to benefit us in this situation? What the heck? I think this may be a loss anyway. let's watch this. And then this. And then this. Alright. If you want pro Hearthstone, you know where to go. You know where to go. Right, we're in trouble. We're actually dead. Well played. Next. Okay, so what did we see there? We got some cards out, but I think that the challenge was basically, in a couple of failed plays aside, when the opponent managed to take tempo off us, we never really managed to get it back. And then there were a couple of big minions he dropped. Even though we got 2 Hex, I mean, I think we could have had 3 Hex. We just didn't have some control to deal with some of those big minions. So against rushes, I think we're going to be alright. Against bigger minion decks, we could have some challenges. Okie dokie. Final game, and we have final game for this evening, not the final game for the arena, of course. Of course! I'm going to trade back that Cobra. That's going to be a very, very, very controversial decision, particularly given that I've managed to get back 3 late game cards, and I'm going first. Oh, I've just BM'd by accident. Bad manners, followed by an accidental greetings. Well, I'm just going to have to totem and roll because there is nothing going on here. And a spell damage totem of all things. Spell damage into Mana Tide. Alrighty, okay, well he's owled our totem and we're going to be charge. Now, to those of you at home, is playing a Mana Tide when you have nothing to defend it a great play? Probably no. But he, you know, the priest can remove this probably. He might have a Shadowword Pain. He might have a Smite and charge into it with his owl. No, he's gone for the trade with the owl. That probably means he's got a Shadowword Pain. Nope. He's picking up the Brewmaster. And he actually leaves my Mana Tide on the table. Oh no, he's going to coin into a Shadowword Pain. Oh, blah, blah. Oh no, he's coined into his owl. Okay, well, like Party Rock anthems, every day he is shuffling. Chill and Yeti or the Oasis Snapjaw. I'm going to go for the Snapjaw. Reason being, 1, maybe Science will show up, and 2, actually this will survive a couple of blows until he drops the big tank and makes everyone sad. I did think of Yeti. The reason I went for this was for trades, but you're right, Yeti would have probably been the better play because he's now just picked up a big fat tank that I can't get past. Do I want to now start annoying him? Yes, I do, absolutely. So I'm going to go for a Knife Juggler into a Tauren Warrior. There we go, the chip damage just doesn't hit anyone, and my Oasis Snapjaw is going to start wailing away at this huge, ridiculous tank. So we need to get rid of that tank. Okay, he's just gone for the straight up destruction. I'm happy with that. He's trying to get table control back, and obviously not nice to lose that Knife Juggler, but I made him deal with it. Oh, and Light Spawn goes down, and now we've got the problem of big annoying minions that we're going to have struggles dealing with. This is not good. However, turn 6 comes, and with it we may as well be walking on the sun, because the Sunwalker is here. Do we have going on? Okay, at least we have a Sunwalker, so the Sunwalker will be keeping us safe for certainly a turn, I would say. He could throw everything at it. He's going to go for the trade. He's going to trade with his Light Spawn. Has he got other options? Thought Steal. Our deck is very slow. By slow, of course, we know we do not have huge amounts of draw power. Now this is a little frustrating because if only we could get rid of this Patriarch, we could kill this, but he's going to heal it up next go. We have nothing with charge. We could Hex it. We could Hex it. Do you guys reckon a hex is a waste? He will heal it up and it'll start being annoying again. Ooh, the decisions. Or we could just throw down an ogre and say, right, deal with it. No, handle it. I'm actually... This is controversial. We have the Black Knight. Do we have any legendaries in this deck was the question. The Black Knight is the answer. It could have been another Illidan as well. At least hexing means he's not going to... Oh, he's hexing my hex. That's all flying around. That is the annoying power of Thought Steal. Healing up his tank, even more annoying. And then a Loot Hoarder. Thought Steal, if you're a priest, you can annoy the heck out of people so much. No options, I go for a big play. I can throw down the Abomination. I'm going to just get really annoying. Let's throw all of this on the deck. Let's get rid of one tank. So we can be shaped up to remove that tank in one next go. And the Healing Totem of all totems is going to reinforce my Oasis Snapjaw. He's there, he's slow and steady, maybe winning the race. Even though this deck is slow on the draw power. Oh, more tanks upon tanks upon tanks. Hey, if you want to kill that, do 2 damage to yourself, go for it. I'm happy. Happy priest friend. Got hexed in the face. We were hoisted by our own petard. And he's gone for, interestingly, the totem. Silencing the minion and doing 1. Very nice. That is why Earthshock is good. And he's used not only an Earthshock. Oh, come on. He Thought Steals. And then he uses a Hex and an Earthshock. Lucky person indeed. Okay, we can make some plays here. I smell a fun play coming on. We cannot remove... Oop, sorry for knocking stuff over. Sweaty priest deck, daring me. Right, we can either Wind Fury straight in here and then remove 2 tanks in one go. That could be quite fun. Or we can drop something like the Boulder Fist and get ready for another Wind Fury on that next go. So I'm going to do that. Because why not?
If you insist.
Okay, so it looks as though we have table position. The goal of our deck was in the sort of mid-game to grab table position using our minions and spells. So we seem to be going. Wind Fury in the 4/4 seems good. I know there's a slight delay. I really thought we should do that. I'm going to instead see if we can get rid of the Gurubashi. He's charged up his Gurubashi, but he's got rid of that, but he doesn't know we've got Wind Fury. So we're lucky that he elected to spend his Gurubashi. But the Gurubashi is now 5/5. Oh, and another Thought Steal. Those noises you hear are me mashing the keyboard in chatty style frustration. Right. Do we have lethal? Countdown maths time! Okay guys, do we have lethal? Who can work it out first? Right, we've got Bloodlust, that gives all of our minions +3, so that means we have 5, 5, 9, 1. So 5, 5, 9 and 1 is 20. Wonderful. So we can do 20, and then the 9 gets doubled up to 18, because we have Wind Fury. So that's 18, 20, 22, 23. We do not quite have lethal according to me, unless my maths is bad. Try it again. Do we? Do we? 29? I saw 23. Is my maths bad? Let's count. Bloodlust is 3 for everyone. 5, 5, 5, 9, 1. And then the 9 becomes 18, so 28, 29. Yeah, we do. Sorry, I can't count. 9, 18. 18 plus 1. Yes, I think we do. My maths is bad. Here we go. Come on team, don't let me down. Yes, yes we do with to spare. Well played. It was well played. Very, very well played. Boom! There we go, and we are back to 1-1. That was a fun finish, wasn't it? I like that. So thank you so much for tuning in to tonight's Hearthstone Half Hour. By the powers of mathematics, we have a writing student and a drama student. Maths hurting thinker boxes, but I'm glad that even though my bad maths at 23, you guys managed to calculate the win, and we managed to get a lovely late game lethal there. So thanks so much for tuning in. Arena. You guys picked Shaman on Twitter. We jumped in, drafted a deck. We drafted a deck that kind of lets us control a little or keep the board even in the early to mid game with spells and minions. And then we had what looked on the surface like a very congested mid game, just so many 4 and 5 drops. But we saw that how we came out at the end of that. We managed to actually keep the table relatively under control, managed to claw back control, get enough minions down, and then swung in for a really exciting, of all things, Boulder Fist Ogre, Bloodlust, Wind Fury finish. Who'd have thought it? So that'll be us for this evening. If it's the first time you've tuned in, where can you find us again? Well, if you're watching on YouTube, come join live, twitch.tv/FailCraft Cast. We are Monday through Friday around about 7 to 8 PM UK time. We'll always tweet on @FailCraft Casts a couple of hours before with a timing and an amount of hours before the stream goes live. So if you're in a different time zone, you can check it out. If you're watching live, don't forget to check out youtube.com/FailCraft Casts. The Twitch is cast without the final S, and the YouTube is casts with the final S. You can see Hearthstone, Heroes of the Storm, StarCraft. We're going to start doing Minecraft and all other kinds of games. So anything you would like, go check out there. And then last but not least, we have the splendid failcraft.org, where you can not only find videos, but you can find other articles and stuff that lives sometimes better in a written form than it does in a video. But of course we do a bit of news, a bit of other things there as well. So check it out there, see what you think. And then as a final shout, if you liked it, do let us know what else you'd like to see. Do share it with any friends you think might like to see it too, because, well, that's just great. It gives us encouragement to keep going. If you didn't like it, that's absolutely fine, but then just let us know what we can improve or do better. If you say you are rubbish at the game and you should play better and you made loads of mistakes, well, yeah, you know what, we make mistakes. We are human, but so are most people. So we will always try and play better, of course we will. And part of this is so that we can all learn and have fun together. So I do appreciate that. But if you have comments on the content or anything like that as well, just let us know what you would like to see more of, or what you think could be better, and we'd love to hear that because it just helps us make better content for you. So thank you very much for tuning in. I've been Hammy, this is FailCraft Casts. Tomorrow night, it is Thursday, we will either do laddering to make up for this evening, or we will actually maybe either take a look at another game or perhaps continue this arena depending on what you guys fancy. So thanks for tuning in.